Hello, and welcome to another episode of Sam Tries Reading Smut. Today, I'll be reviewing Olivia Dade, I'm sorry if I said your last name wrong, At First Bite. This book was gifted to me by my friend Kate. Thank you so much, Kate. This was such a fun read. Let's get into it and have others read it as well. First, let's get into the author's notes before we begin, just so you know if you want to stick around for this review or not. If you're a reader who appreciates learning about sensitive content ahead of time, this note is for you. Otherwise, please skip ahead to the prologue. I skipped and I wish I hadn't, so that's also one of the reasons I'm reading this to you now. Still here? All right, this is what you should know. At First Bite addresses grief and clinical depression. It also mentions the accidental death of a young child, although that death does not occur on the page. If you're sensitive to any of those topics, please read with care, and please know that I've done my best to balance the painful bits of the book with lots of laughter and love. I think she did a great job about that, but I wasn't actually ready for the depression part of the book, and it made me really sad. So now you know going into the book. Also, she does add, for more detailed content guidance concerning this book and all my books, please visit my website, which is really nice. I appreciate that. Thank you, Olivia. So now let's get into this Harlot's Bay novel. That's right, that's where she lives, in a place called Harlot's Bay. They talk about it a lot. She actually at one point has a job with the historical society there, and chef's kiss. Amazing. So the main character in this book is Athena, and the whole book is from her point of view. It's a modern romance, which I would say is loosely based on Pride and Prejudice if she were the older sister, because the whole thing revolves around this dude who is the older brother of her fiance, who at the beginning of the book, he breaks them up because he doesn't think she's good enough for him. Sound familiar, Mr. Bingley? And that's pretty much the first half of the book is very much Pride and Prejudice like with this. And then of course, spoiler, at the end she ends up with the older brother, whose name is Matthew, who's a doctor. Olivia's had it really hard, hence why after the first part, which is very Pride and Prejudice-like, she has a big depression episode, which was the part I wasn't quite prepared for. She's kind of going in between careers. She's a very smart woman. She just got her master's degree, I believe. I'm not gonna double check. I believe it was her master's degree. Read the book, or if you've read it and you remember, put it in the comments. And she's kind of like in a place in her life because she essentially quit her job to move to this town and to move to Harlot's Bay. It's not just a town, it's Harlot's Bay, to live with her fiance. And she bought the house next door to him because it's this historical, cute little house that he had talked about wanting and like combining the houses and stuff. So she bought it, and that's all she has to her name right now. So she has to move to Harlot's Bay. And her fiance ends up going on their honeymoon. So at least when she moves in, like he's not there. But then the brother lives right behind her and is the reason they broke up. She's got a lot going on, and it totally makes sense. She has a depressive episode later. One of my favorite parts of the book, though, is one of the first jobs she gets in the town is working in this bakery with this guy named Carl. And Carl is kind of like your Luke character from Gilmore Girls of the town, gruffy but lovable. He listens to monster smut while he bakes and has it playing out loud. It's all very consensual though within the bakery. He's honestly my favorite character in the whole book. I love him so much. Anyway, things ensue. She loses her job there because an old employee comes back and begs him for her job back, and she has a kid, so Carl lets her go. That also kind of spurs some of the depression that happens midway through the book. And there is a second book out now, which I haven't gotten. It supposedly came out in fall 2024, and it's supposedly, I think it's going to be Carl's love story. And I'm so excited for that, and I must buy it because I must know more about this man who reads monster smut. Anyway, Matthew essentially feels guilty that she's like here and like secretly tries to help her, and she finds out. They kind of become friends, and then, you know, of course, the inevitable modern romance trope of they have a fight and then they get back together. And of course, like, it's tricky, you know, because he's the older brother of the man who was her fiance. So, you know, you get that tension in the book as well eventually. He is so scared of Halloween, which is hilarious. This is like a little tidbit in the book, which I love, is like when they are fighting, she puts all these scary like Halloween things in her window because she's mad at him, which is amazing. Like, her personality is great. I want to be her best friend. She is so fun. She is just a fun person. And like, what a creative way to like annoy someone. And it's great because no one could see those Halloween decorations either, because essentially it's like an alley or like a little courtyard. So it's just him who can see them, nobody else. And Halloween's like a big thing in here. Like this town, Harlot's Bay. You know how some small towns, at least in the small town I grew up in, and I like for Christmas time used to do like window displays and like live window displays. Their town does Halloween ones, which is so much fun. She ends up helping this like bookstore eventually that she ends up working at with theirs, and that's so much fun. It's just very cute. There's a lot of cute, adorable small town things that happen in this book. So if you need like Gilmore Girl meets Pride and Prejudice, this is the book for you, okay? Get it immediately. It's so cute. One thing that, I don't know, I felt a little weird about, because Matthew is like a grown man. He's like in his late 30s, I believe, like he's like 38, and he's still a virgin. Olivia is not a virgin, but he is. And that was kind of odd to me. I was kind of like, I was a little like, oh, okay, all right, like, that kind of weirded me out. So just something to note. And since we're on that topic, let's give it a spicy rating. Mostly because of that, I give this spicy rating like a 2 out of 5. The spice was good, don't get me wrong, but I don't know. It kind of weirded me out that he was that old and a virgin. It was like, without it being like 40-year-old virgin funny, if that makes sense. It makes me wonder, like, did the author, I assume the author kind of based a little bit of this book on Pride and Prejudice. If that's the case, did she think Mr. Darcy was a virgin? Maybe he was. I don't know. I read Pride and Prejudice when I was a kid, and now I'm like, maybe I need to reread it. Maybe there was something I was missing. That's why it has a low spice rating for me, because I just couldn't quite get past that fact. I'm like, really? What? And we do learn a lot about Matthew's life. The kid that died is from Matthew's life. It was one of his brothers, because you find out Matthew kind of raised his brothers. Essentially, he feels guilty for his younger brother's death and kind of takes that on himself, which he definitely shouldn't have. I know that's a little bit of a spoiler, sorry. But I guess the real reason why it bugged me is it just felt out of character for him. It kind of felt like it came out of nowhere. For me, at least. I kind of get the logic on one hand. It's like he's a very busy doctor. He was focused on his studies, focused on taking care of his younger brother who was still alive, who she was engaged to. Based on everything I knew about him till that moment, it just didn't align for me personally. If you've read the book, let me know what you think. I'm curious. I'm very curious. But outside of that, I do have to say, this has great fat representation. And I love the way she writes about Olivia's body. And I love that so much. And that is such a great thing about this book. And even in the spicy scenes, I think it's great. I've never read a book that covers it so well and makes it so beautiful. Overall, I give this book an 8 out of 10. It's a really fun read. I do want to read the second book because I need to know about Carl. And if the second book isn't about Carl, I'm going to be very upset. I don't know why I got an accent there for that. I just imagined Carl. And I do hope in the second book, Olivia is there because she's just a great character. She's so much fun. She definitely, I don't know. I want to be her friend. Like I said earlier, she's just like a great character to read about and she's very relatable. I definitely recommend this book. If you like Gilmore Girls and Pride and Prejudice, this is the book for you. It is very, very good. Highly recommend. Thanks so much for stopping by and happy reading. Until next time.